Let's see if we can do it all in one take. All right, whenever you're ready. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about some tinting, dyeing, henna. There we go. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be going through some tint versus stain versus dye versus henna applications. So what they are, what they're for, or what clients would you do them on? Really the difference between the 4 products, because we know that can get really confusing. So first I'm going to talk about the tinting products. Now tinting probably has been performed the longest out of all of the products available. This is more of I like to call it almost like a wash off product. Think of tint when you get your hair colored. If they do a hair tint, generally it will wash out within a couple of days. It does have the ability to stain the skin and the hairs, but for a less time period. Duration? Shorter anyway. Stain is a more newer innovation, a newer product, particularly this Brow Code brand, which as you can see, I've got a few Brow Code brands here. Brow Code products, apologies. Now this one here, it does have a henna extract in there. So it almost does tie in with the henna products, but this one is more of a thinner consistency. It provides a really, really good deep color as well. Then we also have another brand, which is a Bronson. Now this one is a dye product. So generally dye products are a cream formula. They have an oxidant as well, which generally they're all gonna be your 3% hydrogen peroxide mixtures. Now I myself love Bronson dye. My clients also love this product as well because it provides really long lasting results. I reckon usually you get about 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks of the stain on the skin. Now this will always differ for everyone as well. But you get around 6 weeks of the dye on the hair, which is amazing. So my clients will come in, 4 to 6 weeks later, and you can still see the end of the color on their hair follicles hasn't fully grown out. So it almost gives them the appearance that they have, thicker, fuller, more done brows than generally like a wash-off tint. Now this other product here is just another brand of a tint. Now this one here is really well-known brand. It does give really great results as well, similar to your Brow Code tint. I find that the Brow Code tints over the Berrywell though give off a much deeper pigment. So again, everything's going to be different to what you're using and what your client prefers and what you prefer as well. Then we've also got the henna products here. So henna depends what brand you are using. We're going to have trouble focusing on this one. Henna can come in different ways. These ones are encapsulated, which I find are perfect because obviously you're going to use one per client. Great for obviously hygiene practices as well. You'll empty out one sachet, one capsule, throw it. You don't need it to use it anymore. Otherwise, some brands you can scoop out the product or you can pour it into another container. These ones I love because they have a range of colors. The full kit comes with, I think it's about 9 different shades. So you can really tailor and customize it to your client as well. You can mix them also. Henna it's a powder-based formula. So this one is really great for maybe someone who has oilier skin or mature skin because it does give a softer color, and some people don't want it too harsh. In saying that, you can get a really dark stain. Now with henna as well, generally it will come with an activator that you mix the product with. So it's got a few, not different steps, but it can take a little longer for your applications. So this is a liquid activator, which I can actually open it up and show you what it's like on the inside. If I can open it, what's going on here? So it has a little droplet. I don't know if you guys can see that. And then you would just drop in the amount that you need for the application. So that can also differ as well for if different clients, have bigger brows or thicker brows, but you can always tailor that as well to suit your client's needs. And then this product here is also for your henna applications. So henna applications, it's a great idea to prepare the skin and scrub the area first. So this one as well, let me just open it up so you can see. So it has some little granules in there. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. And that can help to prep the skin better so that you get a more effective stain. Now with these products here, not all of these come in the courses that we do have available through the beauty school. We do have a brow henna course. We have a brow and facial waxing and tinting course. Now we'll talk about timing for the different products. I probably most do the dye and the stain services. So that would be with like a brow sculpt, so like a wax, tidy up, shape. Generally, I leave about half an hour for those appointments, but probably your cleansing and application of the color would be around about 15 minutes. Now that can change depending on your client, the results that they want. They might want something that's a bit lighter, so you wouldn't leave it on for as long. I do have clients that prefer a darker, bolder look. So what I would do is cleanse the area, apply the color, leave it while I'm tidying up and waxing the area, and then remove it. So sometimes it can be left on for even 20 minutes. But that's something that you'll gauge from client requests and what they prefer. Now the one product that I probably don't use as much anymore is the henna. Now I do have some clients that they prefer it and sometimes it works better with their skin. They can also maybe have any allergies or reactions to other dye products, so that's why it might be an alternative for them. But henna applications do take a little bit longer because it requires more thorough mixing because it is that powder that you need to break down with the liquid, and you have to layer it. So generally it's done in about 3 different layers. So that can take, you know, up to even 25 minutes of just applying the product, which we are not all time savvy these days, and that can take a little bit longer. So definitely the dye and the stain or the tint are shorter period of time to perform those. And then the ease level. So I don't really think there's one that's easier or harder than the other. Tint is probably the less likely to stain the area. And what I mean by that is if you were to apply it on the skin, you'd use a little bit of even water or a tint remover, and generally it would come off quite quickly when you have, you know, removed it and fix it up as you're applying the color. Whereas dye is almost, there's no room for mistakes. You have to do a really clean, crisp application, because if it does get a little bit of excess on the skin, it can be really difficult to remove, even with the remover that comes with the products, or you can purchase, you know, from any salon supplier, because you don't want to use too much of it. It does contain citric acid, so it can really irritate the skin, that's all. So dye is probably maybe the hardest on that spectrum of things. Then again, it's to what you like to use and what you're comfortable with using as well. I find that there's too many steps for the henna, but I love like the results and the longevity of the results of like the stain and the dye products. And then we'll go into different products for your different skin types or ages. As I did mention earlier, all your clients are going to be different, and how they react to products will be different. What they do in their lifestyle is different. What they do for their skincare routine will always be different. Generally, the best advice is to avoid getting the brows wet for as long as possible, because then you'll have the colored area stay for longer. Age-wise, it can really, like, I'll give an example of my mum. I've tried all of the products on her, and the product that works the best is actually your OG tint. We've had henna, didn't last. The dye never really works well. It just doesn't absorb well enough on her skin. The stain goes way too dark, but the tint works like perfect. And then for myself, I have used all of them. Tint doesn't last, henna doesn't last. The dye lasts, but only if I don't get them wet. But the product that's probably worked the best is the stain. So like the hybrid dye. Yeah, so it will go by your client's preference, what they like. Obviously, if you want something a bit more lighter and they don't want a dramatic effect, you would go with a tint. If they want something quite deep and bold, you would go with the stain or the dyes. Particularly if they have more allergies or sensitivities, I would opt for doing the henna on them first, or just make sure that you do test patch things before that you use them on clients if they are concerned with that as well. Another important factor of using any tinting or dyeing or henna products is, like I mentioned earlier, about knowing what your clients use on their skin, and if they do use active skincare, it's also an important factor to note that if they do spray tanning or use a lot of fake tanning products as well, because of the DHA in fake tanning solutions, it can actually stay in the skin, and then what happens when you're applying, you know, your tints and dyes and hennas, it can deepen the color quicker, and it's much harder to soften it and remove it. Just keep that in mind if they are coming in and having those treatments. To be careful of that, you might just need to make sure that you do a lighter mixture and leave it on for a less period of time. And now, longevity results will always last differently. As I have said, it can depend on age, lifestyle factors, what the client does. So someone who is quite active, or, you know, does swimming, or they sweat a lot, or in saunas and things, the product's not going to last as long as what it would with someone else who, you know, may have more of a sedentary lifestyle. If someone does have a sedentary lifestyle, they're probably not going to be as exposed to things like sweating or being in climates or environments that can cause the product to become like more diluted and fade quicker. Sun is also another factor that can fade any color quicker. So especially during summer or the warmer months, the product can definitely not last as long as what it would in winter months. So that's just a little bit of information on some tint and stain and dye and henna products. If you have any more questions, please let us know in the comments below. Remember to click the bell if you want to see more, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Thanks.